Hello and welcome to Drive Seats and to the Renault Kadjar, a compact SUV to take on the likes of the Nissan Qashqai, Peugeot 3008 and Seat Ateca. Now it was inspired by its smaller brother, the Captur, which has been such a sales successful Renault, hence the arrival of a bigger model. Its name Kadjar is derived from two words, cad, which means quad, and four, so four-wheel drive, it can go anywhere, and jar, it appears from nowhere. Well, that suggests that the Kadjar is going to be a rugged SUV that can go anywhere. Remember, it's in the name. Well, it certainly starts well at the front. You've got this rugged plastic moulding at the bottom that continues down the side and around the back. There are two petrol and two diesel engines available, but it's only the more powerful diesel engine that's offered with the all-wheel drive system. Each engine comes with a 6-speed manual gearbox, whilst the petrol has an option of a 7-speed automatic with a dual clutch, and the diesels either come with a CVT auto or a 6-speed dual clutch auto. But you get 5 trim levels to choose from, and prices start from £19,485. We're testing the mid-range Dynamic S Nav, which is £24,145 with the entry-level diesel that's in this car. That gets a 6-speed manual gearbox and front-wheel drive. And I have to say, I think the Kadjar is a fantastic looking car. The rear's really well proportioned, the ride height and rugged looks really work, as do the attractive 19-inch alloys. But key to any car like this is practicality. Now it's got 472 litres of capacity, which is about 40 more than a Qashqai and 40 less than a Seat Ateca. It's got a flat floor which is adjustable, but this adjustable floor comes off in panels, so you have to manually do it and feed it under, or you can have it as a midway point for whatever reason you'd need that for. Underneath all of that is a spare tyre, but it's a little bit difficult to get out because you've got these in the way, so you need to shift those out of the way. There's compartments either side, a couple of bag hooks and a lever each side that will lower the rear backrest. It feels a little bit tight to get in, but once in, it's excellent really. The seats are very, very comfortable. There's plenty of leg and knee room and very, very good headroom. What I would say is the mountings for the front seats do impinge a little on where you want your feet, but that's ever so more prevalent if you've got someone sat in the middle. There's a really low and narrow transmission tunnel, which is brilliant, and loads of headroom so you can sit comfortably, but you then share the same foot space. In between the seats is a fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders, this little odd tray there, and a small bin in the door. What I'd also say for children, this window level is quite high, so it might feel a little bit closed in here, and that kick up as well is not going to help. Now, your first impressions getting in here is everything's a little dark and drab. There's some brushed aluminium and some piano black trim that's trying to lift the cabin, but really it's pretty uninspiring, and there's a lot of grey plastics in here. There are some attempts in here to really add some class with the leather stitching on the door handles, this grab handle in the middle, and the leather gear knob. There's also some odd quirks as well. On the steering wheel, you've got your controls for your cruise control, but down here by the electronic handbrake is where you turn the cruise control on and off. So when you're there driving along, you don't really want to be reaching down. It's a bit odd. Also, on the infotainment system is the dial that controls the lane departure system, which again it just feels in the wrong place. What also frustrates me is this 7-inch infotainment touchscreen is offset. Everything's beautifully aligned, and then the infotainment screen is just to the side too much. Let me show you what I mean. Well, if you check this out, you've got the hazards and locks up the top, the auto in the middle with that light, and then the USB connector down the bottom. That produces a beautiful straight line. Then the nav screen is off to one side. It's an unnecessary oversight, and I'm sure most people won't be bothered, but it's just that bit of attention to detail that you'd like to see addressed. Now, the infotainment screen itself is generally split into 2. Click into the map and you can pinch, zoom and swipe to move it around. However, as you can see, it's pretty slow and the graphics are quite basic. If I take it back home to the radio, again, everything's just a little bit slow. I can change and put my phone on and different sources through USB or Bluetooth, but it just feels a really slow old system. The automatic air conditioning is clear and simple to use, if a little bit uninspiring to look at. A nice feature is the instrument cluster, which is digitalised. There's a big screen in the middle which has your rev counter going around, and then in the middle sits your speed. Either side it's flanked by engine temperature and fuel gauge. This trim gets half leather seats, which are very, very spongy and really comfortable. There's padding in all the right places to keep you in your seat and in the right place. They adjust it by a lever down the side, which adjusts your height very well. There's a second lever for your backrest, and then a third lever on this side for your lumbar support. It means you can get yourself very, very comfortable. The steering wheel adjusts reasonably well for tilt and reach. It's not the best out there, but it's not too bad. However, once set, I'm in the lowest seating position. I've got very, very good headroom and feels very roomy around me. In the door is a well-sized door bin. There's a huge anti-slip tray up front with 2 USB connectors, a couple of cup holders in the middle, and under this armrest is a floating tray. Lift that up and it's a really deep bin. That's very good indeed. The glove box is actually very well sized also. Now, Renault have been at pains to make sure we know this is a dynamic crossover, so let's get it on the road and find out if it actually is. So the engine in this car is called a DCI 110. Essentially, that's a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder diesel engine that generates 108 brake horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. That's enough to get this from standstill to 62 miles an hour in 11.9 seconds, which is pretty stately. The benefits, however, are seen for economy, which gives it an official 72.4 miles per gallon and a CO2 of just 103 grams per kilometre. Now, we've driven about 500 miles in this and have returned 57 miles per gallon, which really isn't bad. It's not near those numbers, but I think it's a pretty decent effort. It's connected to a 6-speed manual gearbox that's really quite lazy and sloppy. It's got a long lever to it, a long throw, and I'm going to call it Sloppy Joe. Sloppy Joe and I have had to get well acquainted. The engine from pull away is really quite slow, so you'll need to use the gears to make sure you're in the best rev range. It also can bog down a little, so again, if you're going up hills or preparing to overtake, you're going to have to use Sloppy Joe to get into the right gear and that rev range. Under harder acceleration, you do get a little bit of torque steer, just a little tug on the wheel and a little bit of wheel spin off the line, but there's really not enough power in this engine to cause much trouble there. However, the engine is really refined. It's really impressed me. I'm not a diesel fan, but on the move, this is quiet. It's not too vocal under harder acceleration, and it just works very well. The ride in the Kadjar is lovely. Bear in mind, this is on 19-inch alloy wheels, and you can go down to 17s at a no-cost option. I don't think you need to, but if you did, it's going to be silky smooth. It just wallows and drifts beautifully down the road, dealing with most lumps and bumps in a really, really mild-mannered way. You do get the odd bump, but that's, I think, more down to the bigger alloys on this model. The steering's weighted heavier than you might expect in such a relaxing car to drive, and it's a little bit stodgy in feel. It just suits that cruise along character that this car exudes. Having been so impressed by the comfy ride, I'm also impressed by the handling. It's nowhere near as good or dynamic as a Ford Kuga or Seat Ateca, but it's really well behaved. Body lean is well controlled and it sticks to the corner well. On the motorway, it's quiet and relaxed. There's a tiny bit of wind noise, but nothing major at all. There's no noticeable road or suspension noise, so this thing really is absolutely epic at covering long distances. Visibility is pretty good. The front pillar on this side is quite narrow from this angle, but it's a little bit wider when you're looking across, so it can block that side. The middle pillars are really thin, so there's no problem there, and the rear pillars have got a little window in them to help out and reduce any blockages. Now, if you ask me, Renault shouldn't have called this the Kadjar. They should have called it the DFS, because it's a big, comfy sofa. But saying something's as friendly and as comfortable as your favourite slipper isn't as sexy as saying it's dynamic and sporty. But it is comfortable, it's a great long distance traveller, it's refined, and the engine's economical as well. Thanks for watching Driver's Seat. Check out the full review of the Kadjar on our website. Remember to subscribe to the channel for free and let us know in the comments section below what you think of the Kadjar.